This empty chair represents the addict who died today, not knowing recovery was possible.
Colleen is somebody that I had a chance to meet a few months ago when I was asked to go and do her television show. She has a television show here in Methuen with her dad, and Superintendent Mrs. Scannell asked Methuen administrators if we would go and be a part of that show. And so I went, and Mr. Bateman, a lot of you remember Mr. Bateman, yes? Yes. Mr. Bateman is now the upper school principal at the CGS. He and I and Mrs. Scannell, we went and did Colleen and her dad's community television show, which is about drug and alcohol use, and the question they had for us at the time was, is it happening in Methuen schools? How do you handle it? What do you do? And so we had a conversation with them, pretty open and honest conversation with them about, you know, challenges that we face in a school system. You guys are here, this grade level is here, because we've had some challenges this year in the upper school. In particular, in your grade level, there have been some challenges. There have been some challenges with drugs, and there have been some challenges with kids making choices and being pressured into things. And this is not about blaming or anything like that. It's about making sure that you guys, as 12 and 13 or 14-year-old kids, have the truth, right? Have the right information. Mr. Hudon, in your health classes, any teacher that you would ever ask a question about this, they would give you the truth. Okay, these adults in this school you can trust to give you the truth. So this is about you guys having the truth about drugs and alcohol, and Colleen has very, very bravely and generously given up her time, her work day today, and her dad and some other folks from Methuen Community TV, they've given up their time to come here. And Colleen's going to talk with you about kind of her story, about what happened to her, because for her, addiction and drug use started, you know, around your age level. Okay, so it's important that you listen and you hear the truth. Okay, I know I don't have to say anything about being a respectful audience. You are being that right now, and I know you'll continue to be that. Okay, do you want the microphone?
No, I think I'll just stay right here. I'm good right here. Hi, everybody.
Welcome our guest, Colleen.
Oh. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Colleen, and I don't know. Like, I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. Like, I talked to some guys this morning. So if I sound repetitive, you know, just bear with me. I want to try and get everybody like a good message out here. Can everybody hear me, like in the back and stuff? Yeah. All right. So I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a teacher, you know, I'm not even like a parent, like I don't even have kids, you know. I'm just going to tell you like my experience, like what I went through with drinking and drug use and stuff like that, like when it started for me. You know, I can't talk about things that like I don't know. Like I'm not going to like make stuff up and like just tell you guys things to like, you know, to shock you or to scare you or nothing like that. Like that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I want to like tell you like what happened to me, like from my experience. You know, I didn't, you know, try and memorize things to try and, you know, I'm not reading nothing. I'm going to tell you about like my life, what happened to me, the choices I made, and like where I ended up. You know what I mean? You know, like again, like I'm not trying to like, you know, scare you and be like, oh my God, this is gonna happen and that's gonna happen. Like no, like I want to like, you know, like lift you guys up a little bit and let you know that like you don't have to, you know, do drugs and drink and like and all that stuff to have a good time. You know what I mean? Like I've been clean for a little over 4 years. I started using when I was I don't even know. So I'm 36 years old now. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself right now. I'm 36 years old. You know, like I don't have any kids. I have a lot of friends who do the same thing that I do. You know, we don't use, we don't drink, we don't do drugs. We have a lot of fun. Obviously, like we like getting tattoos. Like we get together and we have, you know, tattoo parties and stuff like that. Like we go to concerts, we go to shows. Like we go out and we just have fun. For Halloween, we went up to Salem, Mass. We all dressed up. I had horns glued to my head. Like it was crazy. I think we were the only people there like that weren't under the influence of something, you know, and we took pictures and we had a really good time on absolutely nothing, you know. It is possible to to not have to put something in your system to have a good time. You know, even though a lot of stuff that you probably hear is the opposite to that. Like you need to, you know, smoke weed and you need to drink and you need to do all this stuff. It gets force fed to you like on TVs and music and stuff like that. And like I'm here to tell you that like I'm living proof that it doesn't have to be like that. Regardless of like, you know, peer pressure or people that you hang out with that do that, you know. Because for me, like that's how it started for me. Like I went to I came from like, you know, a good home and everything, like good parents, like we went on vacations and Disney World and, you know, we went camping and stuff like that. And there was no, you know, drug abuse like in my family. Nobody went to jail. There was no drama and trauma and all that stuff. So, you know, I went to, you know, Catholic school for like 8 years, like with the nuns and everything, you know, going to church and this and that. And, you know, it was like a good family. I didn't think, like when I was like your age, like going to school, that the first time that I smoked weed, that I was going to end up a heroin addict, okay? Like that's what happened to me. Like that's the path that I ended up taking. You know, I never thought that would happen to me. I thought heroin addicts were people that like lived on the streets and pushed the carriages with like, you know, the trash bags over their shoulders, like homeless people, criminals, stuff like that. No, not the case. I was a normal kid and I ended up a heroin addict. You know, like putting needles in my arm and stuff like you see on TV and everything, you know. Like I don't know how familiar you guys are with like, you know, drug use or whatever. I hope you know nothing about it and I hope you never do. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about like my story and like what happened to me. Like I said, good family, you know, and I just always felt like I didn't fit in, you know what I mean? Like I always wanted to have friends, you know, like I wanted people to like me. And you know, and that's not an easy thing like to admit, like when you're younger. I don't know, you guys are like 12, 11, 12, 13. Like I remember being that age and I just wanted people to like me. I just wanted to have friends. You know, you know, being like popular, like stuff like that. I really didn't care about the popular thing. I just wanted to be able to have people that had my back, like had some like friends, you know what I mean? So like when I got to high school, it got to the point, because you know, 7th grade and 8th grade, like that's when I started to really notice that like I need to like get some friends, because I was scared to go to high school, you know, because I went to that Catholic school for 8 years, you know, and I was like kind of like sheltered and stuff, and then I went to a public high school. I went to the Voc in Lawrence, you know. In the first year there, like I was really scared, because I started to see a whole bunch of things that like I never seen before. You know, like I seen kids smoking pot, and I seen kids drinking like in the school and stuff, and kids were swearing and this and that, and like, and I didn't do anything like that, you know, but I wanted to fit in. So I started doing it. You know, I was afraid that they were going to judge me if I didn't. You know, like I just wanted to fit in with them. Like I can't stress that enough. Like that's why I'm like, you know, and I don't regret anything that I did. I believe that I went through everything I was supposed to go through, maybe so that I could be right here, right now, like talking to you guys. So maybe you don't have to take that path. You know, like I hope that's the case. Like I hope you don't go through any of the stuff that I went through, you know, because it wasn't fun. Like maybe like when I started using, like I thought I was having fun, you know, like we'd go out and like, you know, we'd smoke and we'd ditch school and not take anything seriously. I had no idea like what I was signing up for, you know, and when I say that, like I didn't know what I was signing up for, what I mean is like I didn't know that the choices that I was making at that time, like where you guys are at right now, I didn't know the consequences that were going to follow, you know. Like I would start like, you know, with the weed and stuff like that, because I said like I wanted to have friends, I wanted to fit in, like that whole thing. You know, and I ended up being okay with like, you know, smoking weed, you know. It just became like a regular thing. We started to do it every day. Everyone I hung around with did it. You know, whatever. But then all of a sudden, like, I wanted to go, like, a little bit, like, more than that. Like, it wasn't, like, so, like, new and different anymore, because we were all doing it, you know. So I moved up the ladder and I started drinking, you know. And, you know, and then all my friends, like, all that stuff, like, we all hung around with the same people, so we all started doing the same thing. God forbid I say, hey, no, sometimes I didn't even want to. You know, like, sometimes I didn't even want to do it. But I was so afraid that they would say, well, you know, get the hell away from us. Like, we don't want to be around you. If you're not going to do what we do. So I just did it. You know, I just did it, and I kept doing it. So now drinking became a regular thing for me. And around this time, like, I got, you know, and none of you guys, like, drive yet. Like, I understand that, but, like, a license in a car is going to be in your future soon. You know what I mean? And when you mix, like, a car, like, thousands of pounds of, like, metal and steel going, like, you know, 50 miles an hour, you mix that with being, you know, under the influence of something, you know what happens? You know what happened for me? 5 accidents. 5 accidents within 2 years. You know, I hit telephone poles, I hit parked cars, you know, I hit cars with people in them, I hit a minivan, thank God there wasn't a family in there, you know, because I'd be under the influence, all kinds of stuff, you know, and I would, you know, I'd just fall asleep at the wheel. And I woke up and there'd be blood all over me and I didn't know what happened. Somebody had to tell me what happened. Thank God I never killed anybody, you know, thank God. I have people in my life today that, you know, like worse things than that, like happened, you know what I'm saying? Like they did, You know, they did kill people. They did wake up in jail cells and not know what happened, and they found out that they had taken someone's life. My God, I don't know if I could live with that. Thank God that never happened to me. Thank God. I'm either really lucky or I have a lot of guardian angels looking out for me. I don't know, you know. But so, okay, so back up a little, so the weed, right, and then the drinking starts like every day, and now all of a sudden like the drinking isn't so new and different anymore, you know what I mean? It's starting to become old and familiar, so now, you know, other things are starting to come into the picture. And let me tell you, man, it happens like so fast. It happens so fast, like the progression of like drug use, it happens so fast, like it blows my mind. Again, I did not think that when I was you guys' age and I was smoking weed, did not think I'd be a heroin addict sticking needles in my arm every day. Did not think that would happen to me, you know, but it did. So, okay, so now the pills come into play. I don't even know what I'm taking half the time. You know, I'm trusting my friends that they're going to give me something that's going to make me feel good and it's going to make me fit in. A lot of times that, you know, I would black out and I wouldn't even know like what had happened to me. You know, I have friends, and, you know, I talked to these guys up there a little bit earlier about things that happened to some of my friends when they were under the influence and they took things and they weren't sure what it was. And, you know, like some of the women, some of the men too, but some of the women ended up getting like taken advantage of. You know what I mean? And if you don't know what that means, you can talk to some of your teachers about that after, and maybe they can explain it to you in a little bit more detail. But it's something that a woman would never want to happen to her. You know what I'm saying? And that happened to some of my friends, you know? I'm sorry, I just get like emotional like when I think about this stuff, because like I said, it's not something that, you know, that someone else's story, like this is my story, this is my life. Things that happen to people in my life and things that happen to me, and like I don't want to see it happen to you guys, you know what I'm saying? Because you all just look like so young and so innocent, and like I remember feeling like that, you know what I'm saying? Like I remember feeling like that, and you don't have to lose that. Okay, so fast forward a little bit more. Now I'm smoking weed and I'm drinking and I'm taking pills, and like I'm starting to get some consequences. I'm starting to wreck cars. I'm starting to, you know, my parents are starting to not trust me. You know, they're starting to look at me like suspect all the time, because because I'm constantly guilty of something. If I'm not doing something wrong, I'm thinking about doing something wrong like all the time, you know. And but again, I don't want to do the right thing because I think that I won't fit in for doing the right thing. Like, let me tell you something right now. It is okay to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is okay to be a good person. It's okay to be nice to people, you know? And I'm saying this, like, for me, too. Like, it's okay for me to be a nice person and do nice things for people. You know why? Because it feels good. Doing nice things for people, doing stuff like this right now. And it's not easy to be up here. I don't know any of you, you know, and I'm telling you all these deep, dark secrets about, like, my life, things that I've done, things that have happened to my friends, you know? And I'm just like speaking from the heart, like that's it. Hopefully maybe, you know, one of you will hear something, hopefully all of you, you know, that's the goal for every single one of you to be like, wow, you know, like that's good stuff. Like I don't want that stuff to happen to me, you know. And maybe you can like tell some of your friends about it, like, man, I heard this chick speak and like all this stuff happened to her and like she didn't know it was going to happen, and it happens fast, like it happens real fast, you know. Like I said, I'm 36 years old, I've been clean for 4 years, you know. I started using when I was like 14, 15 years old. That's a lot of years of using, you know. Like a whole period of my life that I gave up to drugs and alcohol and just being an idiot, basically, wasting a whole bunch of my life and hurting a whole bunch of people, and it wasn't necessary, you know. But like I said, maybe it was supposed to happen so I could be here like talking to you, so that maybe you can take like a different path and like do something with your life, you know. Like we're capable of anything. We're capable of anything. Like, man, like life is really good, you know. Like life is like really, really good. And you know, choices, you know, I'm just going to talk about choices for a second right now. Like choices that you make, like in your life, it affects, like choices that you make today, like in your life can affect like a whole lifetime of your life and the people around you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's things that I've learned since I got clean. You know, my clean date is September 1st, 2008, you know. That's the first day that I didn't have any drugs in my system, you know, and I was clean from everything. And it felt weird at first. Like it felt weird to not do anything. It's like, well, if I don't do drugs, like what am I going to do with my life? You know, how am I going to have fun? How am I going to laugh? You know, like those belly laughs or like that inappropriate laughter. Like, you know, like if you're, you know, in something like this or you know, in church, or when you can't stop like laughing, when you know you're not supposed to laugh, but like you can't help it and it makes you laugh like even more. You know what I mean? Like just like stuff like that. And like that's okay. Like we're here on this earth, like to have fun and to laugh and to be okay and to be nice to people. You know, that's what people get it sometimes twisted. It's like people think that we're here to just do whatever we want, but like there's consequences for every like choice and action like that we take, you know. All right, so back to like my drug use like history, okay? We went through the weed, we went through the alcohol, I started doing pills. All of a sudden that became, you know, old and familiar, you know. So now I wanted some more new and different, you know, because my friends were starting to do new and different. So that's what I wanted to do too, because I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose those friends. So I started sniffing things, you know. I started sniffing cocaine and stuff like that. Again, never thought that like when I was, you know, starting out on these beginner drugs, gateway drugs, like whatever you want to call them, like it doesn't matter, those beginning like substances that I didn't think were gonna, you know, destroy my life for the next 15 to 20 years, you know. I never thought that I'd be putting cocaine up my nose, but I did, and I did it again and again and again until like I just didn't care anymore, you know. Now I'm starting to, it's not recreational drug use anymore. I'm not just doing it to have fun anymore. Now I feel like I need to do it every single day. You know, I feel like I can't function without something like inside of me. Like I'm telling you, this is the progression of drug addiction. You know, like this is the progression, like this is what happens. And I'm not saying that like I read this from a book and I think this is what happens, or I seen it in a movie and this might be what happens. This is my life, like this is what happened to me, you know, and this is what happened to like a lot of people that are like in my life. So now I'm putting things up my nose, right? But the disease of addiction is progressive, which means that it keeps getting worse and worse, you know, like cancer, you know, or diabetes, like it keeps getting like worse. It's progressive. So it doesn't stop with that, okay? And I don't know, I heard that some kids like did some stuff in here, like they, you know, they smoked something or whatever, and some of them didn't even know what it was, and they did it anyway. My first thought when I heard that was the first time I ever did heroin, I didn't know what it was. I was already under the influence of a couple of other things, you know, like I think it was weed, alcohol, and something else, I don't know. But somebody put like a line in front of me, and they were like, yeah, like do it. I didn't even think about it. I didn't want to be judged, you know, for not doing it. I didn't want them to not like me, so I did it. 2 seconds, bam. You know, that changed the next like 12 to 13 years of my life. It's the first time I ever did heroin. I didn't even know what it was. I thought heroin was something that you just put in a needle and put in your arm. I didn't know that it could be done other ways. I had no idea. And you know what? I didn't care. I didn't care because I wanted to be liked and I wanted to be accepted. So I did it, you know. It made me sick. I threw up all night. It made me feel absolutely horrible, horrible. But the next day, you know, you would think that I would have said, wow, I'm not doing that no more. Oh, that wasn't for me. No, the drug was already in my system and I was addicted to it. I was addicted. I wanted to do it again. Imagine that. After all those feelings and feeling sick and horrible and all that stuff, I wanted to do it again. And I did, you know, and I did it a couple days, right? I did it 3 or 4 days. And now I'm not just like mentally addicted to it where I wanted to keep doing it, but you know, like I was physically addicted to it. My body was like hooked on the drug, you know, like I couldn't function without it. I got sick. If I tried to not do it, right? I tried to not do like this drug, and my body got like sick. My legs were like aching. I was sweating, you know, I was all crampy. It was horrible. It was horrible. It's like having the flu, like times a million. You know, that's withdrawing from a drug, okay? And so I had to do more, you know, I had to do more. And that's when it became like a maintenance thing. You know, it became a part of my life. I would do anything to get the drug, you know, and again, I did not think that when I was like a kid in Catholic school, you know, with the nuns and all that stuff, good family, all this, I never went to, you know, I didn't go to jail or nothing like that. You know, it was just normal stuff, right? You know, going out and like hanging out with my friends and partying, wanting to be accepted. To go from that to a full-blown heroin addict. Full-blown heroin addict, okay? You know, like, it's crazy to think about it. Like, it really is. Like, I'm seeing you guys and I'm just like, wow, like, you know, I wish somebody would have like maybe like talked to me like when I was, you know, yeah, nobody talked to me. I didn't know anything about drug addiction or where it could go or the disease of the disease of addiction and how it's progressive and the damage that it can do. Oh my God, not only the damage that it did to me, but the damage that it did to my family, you know, and everybody that I came into contact with. I was a liar, I was a thief, I was a manipulator, you know. I just did like horrible things, you know. So I don't know, for that whole period that I was in, you know, active addiction and stuff, like you know, I would try to get clean, and it was really, really hard. You know, there's like statistics out there of people that are in, you know, that are drug addicts, that 1 in 33 are going to come into recovery. 1 in 33. You know, those aren't very good odds. And when I say come into recovery, that means like, I don't know if you guys have heard of like Alcoholics Anonymous, if you've heard of like stuff like that, or Narcotics Anonymous. What it is has anybody heard of that? Alcoholics Anonymous? You have? It's basically like meetings that people who are addicted to alcohol or drugs go to, and we help each other, you know, and we talk to each other, and we do stuff like this. Like we have meetings that'll, you know, they're usually not this big, but we'll sit around and we'll talk about stuff that we went through, you know, and we identify with each other. Do you know what that means to like identify with somebody? It's like when you feel what they're saying, when you've been through the same thing. You know, like if you're listening to a song or something and like they'll say something in the song and it just hits you and it's like, oh, like I've been there, like I've been through that. That's what it means to identify with somebody. So that's what we do. Like counselors couldn't help me, therapists couldn't help me, Doctors couldn't help me. They tried, you know, like they tried. All those people tried to help me, but I needed somebody who had gone through what I went through to help me. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm like here, because, like, you know, like I've been through like stuff that, you know, that you guys are going through right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 36 years old. It's been a long time since I've been, you know, 10, 11, 12, 13, how old you guys are, but like I was. And I remember it like it was yesterday, you know, because that whole period of my life when I was using, it was a blur, you know, it was an absolute blur. I remember visions of like, you know, smoking weed and stuff, and I remember visions of, like, you know, being in psych wards, like mental hospitals, you know. That's where my drug addiction took me, to mental hospitals, to detoxes. You know what a detox is? It's a place where you go when you get so sick from drugs that you have to go to a detox so they can give you medication and try and get the drugs out of your system. You know, I've been to those places countless times. You know, this is where drug addiction, like, brought me. Again, did not know I was signing up for that stuff when I was hanging out with my friends, and I just wanted to be liked and accepted, you know. Peer pressure is not, oh, that's all right.
I wanted you to tell them the title of the show that you and your dad do and what that represents. Okay,
the title of the show that we do, it's called The Empty Chair, Exposing Addiction. Okay, and what that means is the empty chair, we usually keep like an empty chair like on the set. You know, well, there'll be a couple of us sitting around like talking and stuff, and we'll have an empty chair there. And what the empty chair represents is an addict who died not knowing that recovery was possible. Do you know what I'm saying? It means an addict who wasn't lucky enough to be like standing up here, like, you know, maybe like with me or next to me, like talking to you guys, telling you about like the experience that they have. It's somebody who's basically taken out by either drugs or the lifestyle, you know. So that's why we keep that chair there. It's a reminder of me of how fatal the disease of addiction is, because it is fatal, you know. And as far as like the lifestyle is concerned, you know, we're talking a lot about like friends and stuff, like friends and like and peer pressure and stuff like that. And like, I know friends are important. Like, man, I know that. I know friends are like super important around here, you know. Like whether you're your age and you got your friends over here, or whether you know you're my age and you got friends. Like, everybody needs friends. You gotta have people that you can like relate to and connect with and have fun with and laugh with and stuff. And like, I don't know, like I have friends that are in my life today that I care about a lot, and we're doing the right thing and everything's great and we're all clean and it's wonderful. But I also have friends that they're just in my heart and that they're not in my life today. You know what I mean? You know, I got one that, you know, we've been friends for like a long time. She's like my sister. She's one of those friends, I'm sure you guys like have them or whatever, that you just go everywhere together. You talk with each other every day. All you have to do is like look at each other and you start laughing. You know what I mean? Like, you're close like that. And I have a friend like that, or I had a friend like that, like, you know, like whatever. And, you know, we went through a whole bunch of stuff together. We went to high school together. We started smoking weed together, you know. We started drinking together. We started doing pills together. We started doing coke together, you know, all the way up the line. We started doing heroin together, you know. We went through all those drugs, like, you know, together, you know. She's not lucky enough to be here. She's not dead. She's not passed away. Physically, she's not dead. Physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all that stuff, my friend's gone, you know. The last time I saw her, I was driving down Broadway in Lawrence. You know, I was on my way from a meeting. Those meetings I was telling you guys about, I was on my way from there, you know. And I saw her walking on the bridge on Broadway, and I didn't even recognize her, you know. I'm like driving by, and I had to like turn around, you know, because she had this tattoo on her neck, so that's how I knew it was her, you know. And she had like long blonde hair, and I knew it was her. And like I turned my car around, you know, and I pulled up next to her, and she, you know, and she walks up to the car, and like I don't know, she's a little taller than me, and she was so skinny. She was so skinny, I could see like the bones in her face, you know what I'm saying? And she had like, you know, these cuts like all over her arms, you know, and her eyes were just like so like, you know, empty. Like she didn't find recovery, you know. She didn't make it to detox. Like, she didn't have anybody that could really like, you know, like reach out to her and like and help her, you know what I'm saying? And this was like my girl, you know what I mean? Like my really, really good friend, you know. And the city of Lawrence like completely ate her alive. Nothing against Lawrence. Like, I used in Lawrence, I used in Lowell, I used in Lynn, I used in East Boston, like I used everywhere. It doesn't matter. I used in North Andover. It doesn't matter like what city you're from. Methuen, I lived in Methuen my whole life, you know. But I was in shock like when I saw my friend, you know. I didn't know what to say to her. She asked me for money. She asked me for help, you know. I didn't give her any money because I knew what she was going to do with it, you know. She was going to go and you know, do what she had to do and, you know, get what she had to get. So I didn't give her any money, you know, and she left. And I haven't seen her since then, You know, I don't know where she's at now, you know, but like I pray for her every day that maybe like, you know, that I will see her again and she'll be better. But, you know, and I'm going to bring up another friend in a second too, but like I'm bringing up that friend because I tried to like help her like through the years. I tried to bring her to meetings like through the years. You know what I mean? Because I'd randomly like run into her here and there, and she wouldn't be doing the heroin, right? But she would not let go of the weed. Like she wouldn't let go of it. She just wouldn't. She wouldn't give it up because she thought that it was only weed, and she's not going to give it up. And what would happen is, you know, she wouldn't let go of that. And it kept leading back to her drug of choice. It opened, you know, it opened up those doors so that she'd always end up going back to her drug of choice, which ended up bringing her back out to the streets again. So that, you know, I'm trying not to swear because I know you guys are like young and stuff, but you know, it's really hard because I get like emotional when I talk about this, you know. But the weed ended up bringing her back to her drug of choice every time. I'm going to talk about one other friend, okay? You know, really, really good friend of mine. I met her like a couple years ago, you know. She was, I think when she started using, she was like 15 or 16. You know, I met her when she was like around 19, and she wanted to come into recovery and she wanted help. And me and some of my friends, you know, we were helping her, you know. And you know, and she got clean and she stopped using drugs. And you know, and she was able to get a little bit of clean time together, you know, and we would like laugh together and we'd have fun together and we'd go to meetings together and we'd go get tattoos together and like, and all this stuff. And then I didn't see her for a while, you know, one of those again, right? I don't see her for a while. God, I hope my friend's okay. Like, I just hope she's okay. I would see her here and there at meetings. She wasn't doing good, you know, and it'd go like back and forth. Like, she wasn't doing the heroin every day, but guess what she was doing that she couldn't let go of? The weed. She couldn't let go of the weed, you know, another one. Like, you know, you think it's just this little insignificant, like, you know, plant that comes out of the ground, so how bad can it be? Because it comes from nature and all that stuff. No, it's a drug. It's a drug, and it's really strong. And when you're an addict, you can't do anything, you know, and she couldn't either. So the weed, she couldn't give it up. It kept leading her back to the heroin again, you know. And again, like, this is another one who, like, you know, good family. I forget what town she lived in, but her parents had like a nice big house, and you know, like really, really nice. Like, you wouldn't expect her to be a heroin addict, you know. Like, whatever you think a heroin addict looks like you're looking at one right now. You know, granted, I've been clean for 4 years, but I wasn't for a long time, you know. Okay, so back to my friend. So I lost touch with her. I didn't see her for a while, and then all of a sudden I see her on the front page of the Eagle Tribune, you know, with her boyfriend. Her and her boyfriend had set up a man in Lawrence and led him to his death over 4 bags of heroin, you know. That was my friend who God, she's 21 years old, 21 years old. She'd never been arrested in her life, and now she's going to be in Framingham prison for God knows how long, you know. I actually wrote her a letter this morning before I came here. I'm going to mail it out this afternoon, you know. So there's another one of my friends. I'm sure when she was, you know, you guys' age and like starting with the weed, and I'm not accusing, I'm not saying all you guys are doing that. I'm just speaking from my experience, and like I'm not stupid. Like, I know what kids do because I was a kid. You know what I mean? But if you haven't done anything, like that's awesome and like good for you. Again, I'm not here to like to scare you. I'm here to maybe like lift you up a little bit and tell you that, like, you know, you can make choices and you can be an individual and you can be yourself, and it's okay to like do the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, it really is, and it feels good. You know, like, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing, you know, you really don't. It's better to, like, you know, kind of like walk your own path, you know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a stronger person to be yourself than to like just like follow a crowd. And again, I'm not trying to preach to you, I'm just speaking like from my own experience, you know. What time is it? 9:30? But I just want to maybe like, you know, like help you and let you know, like, from my experience, like what I went through, you know, like, and what I had to do to get clean, and like where my life's at today. And my life, you know, my life today, like I can't talk about it without smiling. Like, my life is amazing today. I don't do anything. I don't put anything in my system. I do the right thing. Like, I help people. I got a good job. Like, I'm somebody's boss. You know what I mean? I'm a boss. They don't know that I have all these tattoos, you know, because they probably judge me if they've seen them. But like, I'm like a boss. People come to me for help today. People come to me to like ask me like how I stay clean and stuff, you know, and I can tell them. And it feels good. Like, it feels good to help people, you know. And I hope all you guys like really you know, got something out of what I'm saying. Like maybe something I'm saying right now can like help you, you know, like later on. Like I really do, because every single one of you is just like you're capable of so much. Like we can accomplish like some awesome like crazy things. Like whatever you want to do, whatever you want to be, like you can accomplish that. And don't ever let anybody tell you that you're less than. And don't ever let anybody tell you that like you're not worthy of having a good life, you know, and doing fun things that you want to do. And you don't need to put like some kind of like substance or chemical or whatever. Like that's you know, it's so hard not to swear with you guys. But just know that like it's okay to do the right thing, right? And you know, it's okay to like say no, you know what I'm saying, to like bad things, and like just try and have like the best life that you possibly can, you know. And if nobody told you that like they love you today, like tell yourself that you love yourself, because you're definitely worthy of it. All right, thanks for letting me share.
So you guys listen, a couple of very important when you know, very honestly, and I appreciate that Mr. Miller and the superintendent let us do this, you know, because sometimes it might be scary to bring somebody into a school and talk about the fact that we've had a few problems in school. Maybe administrators don't want to admit that, right? But that's not the case here. Mr. Miller and Mrs. Scannell, they were very willing to allow this to happen, to come in and talk about the truth, like I said, making sure you guys know the truth, and can think about choices and decision-making and peer pressure and those kinds of things that affect you right now. So I am very grateful for that. That, you know, we don't have to hide the fact that, yeah, we've had a couple of minor problems here at Timony. It's not only this year, it's happened in the past, and unfortunately, it will happen again. While I'm still a principal here, and Mr. Miller, it will happen again. Because, you know, that's the reality. You guys are exposed to things, right? And if I didn't think that, then I'd be fooling myself. You are exposed to things. And I don't know how many of you in this room might have tried drugs or alcohol. I know that there's a problem in our school, and we have to deal with it, and I have to give out consequences to kids. That has happened, and I take that job seriously, and we will continue to do that. That's about commitment. That's what this assembly is about. That's what Colleen's work and her dad's work is about, commitment. That's why Mr. Udon plans lessons all the time and teaches you guys about those things. That's why Ms. Garofolo and Mr. Angelari teach you how to be healthy and live that lifestyle. That's why. It's about commitment. Okay? So what you can expect from me and from Mr. Miller and other the teachers and the staff here, we're committed to helping you guys do the best you can. Academically, absolutely, that's our job. But school is about more than that. It's about social, it's about your emotional well-being, it's about having a good time. We do that in lots of ways, okay? So this was really important to me, and I appreciate that you were a respectful audience. I wanted to ask you, is this the first time you've spoken to a group like this?
This young, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I speak at meetings, and there's usually like a lot of people there. But I think this is the biggest one.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's really great. You know, when I was on Colleen and her dad's show, you know, there's a camera there, but there's not a big audience, right? So I think she was able to speak very openly at that time as well, maybe a little bit more comfortable because there's not all these faces staring back at you, you know? So to come here today is really great for her, and I want you to please thank her. At some time in your life, you'll have to make a choice. Somebody will offer you something. Somebody will dare you to do something. Some friend will say, hey, let's take some beer or whatever from my parents' house. They'll never know. You know, you're going to have to make a choice. So trying to give you guys the best information we can about how the choice you make will affect your life. You know, and like Colleen said, she never knew when she made those, you know, seemingly minor choices when she was your age, how things would happen for her. So we're so lucky that we can hear her story and learn from the things that she went through and just think about, you know, and make a decision. I don't want that to happen to me. So when that time comes, I'm going to be a strong person, confident in myself. I'm going to use all the knowledge that I have and make a choice. And it's probably going to be a hard choice. maybe not a popular choice with your friends group. I don't know if you saw Colleen talk about her friends like this. When she was talking about the time she was using drugs, she talks about friends. Does that mean those people were really never your friends?
Yeah, we were all just doing the same thing, but when it came down to it, if we weren't doing, you know, all that stuff, we really didn't have like too much in common, you know. We were just all doing the same drugs, drinking, like getting in trouble. Like it wasn't like connections, like, because, you know, when somebody asked me, you know, if I ever got arrested, and I got arrested that one time, like I was saying, I called all my friends to bail me out of jail. You know who ended up coming? My dad, sitting in the back over there. He's the one that ended up coming to bail me out of jail. Okay. None of my friends showed up.
So remember, Mr. Bruder. Oh, sorry, Mr. I'll tell you one second. Mr. Bruder came here, and he was in all of your English classrooms, and he gave out his contact information, and he did that for a reason. Again, it's about commitment, because he wanted you to know if you have questions or concerns about your own personal self or somebody in your life that you care about, and you need some help or want some help, he gave you that information, right? In this school, we have plenty of people who care and who are there for you and can help and talk to you. Any one of your teachers can do those things, right? Mr. Udon has expertise in this area because of his job, and he can give you the truth or answer questions if you have it about drugs and alcohol. Your guidance counselors, right, at your grade level, Ms. Quick, is available to you and can help you. Certainly myself, Mr. Miller, we wouldn't take the time out of learning to do these things if it weren't important. Okay, Mr. Udon wanted to say something.
Congratulations on your 4 years of being complete. That's a tremendous milestone. My question, just so everyone understands, when you hit rock bottom, how did you afford to pay for your truck? Could you just give them a little background on how quickly it goes downhill and how quickly that you from school, from that's why you become a little of that place?
Yeah. Wow, rock bottom, and what I did for my drugs, I would do absolutely like anything. Like I would steal. Well, first my biggest targets was my family. I would rob my parents blind. You know, I try and like break into their house, and I stole my dad's PlayStation one night and I sold it. I did, you know, because I needed to get what I needed to get, and I didn't care that was one of his favorite things in the world. He had surgery on his hips, so he couldn't play golf because he likes to play golf, but he would play it on that game. I didn't care. I didn't care that I wouldn't be able to do that no more. I took it and I sold it, you know, $20. That's what I got for it, you know. I would shoplift from stores. My mother, I robbed blind. I would steal checks out of her, and I would lie to banks, and I would cash those checks. You know, you can go to jail for stuff like that. You know, thank God they didn't press charges against me, because I wouldn't be here. I'd be in Framingham with my friend that I was telling you about. You know, I would shoplift from stores. You know, I would steal things, and then I would go to stores and I would try and sell it. You know, and you know how many times I got chased out of stores by security guards trying to carry like all this stuff, dropping some of it, people looking at me like I was just the biggest like scumbag in the world, you know, but I didn't care. You know, I just did what I had to do to get what I felt like I needed to get, what I wanted to get at the time. Not in my experience, but it's very uncommon, but like, you know, women will do things, you know, you can ask your teachers about that, you know, that their parents definitely don't want them to be doing, and men do it too. You know, like they get taken advantage of, and you know, they be robbing people, you know, like with guns and knives and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I've seen that happen. I've had that happen to friends. Like I got robbed once. You know, they robbed the dealers. You know, the dealers, the ones that have the drugs. That's what happened to, you know, my friend that's in jail, the one that couldn't put the weed down. They set somebody up to rob a dealer, and you know, like now that guy's dead because you get really desperate at the end. You know, and that's what happened to me. Like I got really desperate. I was a liar, a thief, a manipulator, just everything, just an all-out, you know, scumbag. That's how I felt at the end. You know, and I would do anything to get my drugs, absolutely anything. You know, I would rob you if you had $10 and I wanted it. I'd find a way to get it. You know, so yeah, I would do anything basically to answer your question.
I think you know, I hope the message got across. I hope the message, again, Colleen said at the beginning, this wasn't about scaring you or blaming or anything like that. It's about providing you guys the truth about what can happen, and hopefully, if you're in a situation, which I think unfortunately you will be at some time in your life, you have the information and the courage to make the right choice. That's what it's about, okay? So teachers, I want to thank you again so much, and specialists for your time. And Methuen Community Television, thank you for coming. And Mr. Lahey and Colleen, thanks so much.